We are very glad to have Jayagoura Prabhu with us. He is a direct Diksha disciple of Srila Prabhupada and one of the first devotees of Krishna consciousness in Germany. He will be speaking about the Bhagavad-gītā As It Is, text 27 from chapter 4. By the way, if you look into the chat box, you can find the text in Sanskrit, the text translation in English, and the purport in English in the chat box. So we are now 13 participants in this call, and this will be recorded and will be put up on YouTube. And let's see, there will certainly be others who will be joining us. Some are new to the Wednesday's meeting. Welcome to all of you. Hare Krishna, and Jayagoura Prabhu, the stage is yours. Hare
Is
Krishna.
it English or German?
It's supposed to be in English.
In English?
Janitai was supposed to have told you, but anyway.
But then I have a German Bhagavad-gītā.
Well, I have the English text is in the chat box. If you can open the chat box of Zoom, then you have it in. Otherwise, you could also read it in German, I guess, because those who don't understand German, you can look into the chat box. So it's in English in the chat box, but
I'm not so expert in these technical things.
I could also try to show it on the screen. That is also a possibility.
Yeah, I have it. The yoga system conceived by Patanjali. No? Yeah, here I have it.
Okay.
But the verse is not there.
It's at the bottom. Wait, I will just show it. I will share my screen. Then it's easier for you to read. Wait. This one. And you should be able to see my screen now, and it's...
Yes, okay. So I read Sanskrit, no?
You can read the Sanskrit and you can read the English as well.
Okay. Namah Vishnu Budaya Krishna Vistaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Tinamini Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Paskatyadi Satarine sarvāṇīndriya-karmāṇi prāṇa-karmāṇi cāpare ātma-saṁyama-yogāgnau juhvati jñāna-dīpite. And word for word? You do? Sarvāṇi. Okay, then I just read the translation. Others who are interested in achieving self-realization through control of the mind and senses, functions, of the sense functions of all the senses and of the life breath, they offer as oblations into the fire of the controlled mind. I cannot see the right side because of the of these pictures from you. Haribol?
Is it better now?
No.
Oh. Wait, I will try to.
No, but you're, Jayagoura Prabhu, you are having it on a smartphone or on a tablet?
No.
Okay.
But I have it here in
Rechts so ein Feld sein, da kannst du das minimieren, da kannst du es kleiner machen.
Yeah. Okay, good. The yoga system conceived by Patanjali is referred to herein. In the Yoga Sutra of Patanjali, the soul is called Pratyak-atma and Parak-atma. As long as the soul is attached to sense enjoyment, it is called Parak-atma. But as soon as the same soul becomes detached from such sense enjoyment, it's called Pratyak-atma. The soul is subjected to the function of 10 kinds of air at work within the body, and this is perceived through the breathing system. The Patanjali system of yoga instructs one on how to control the functions of the body's air in a technical manner, so that ultimately all the functions of the air within become favorable for purifying the soul of material attachment. According to this yoga system, pradyak atma is the ultimate goal. This pradyak atma is withdrawn from activities in matter. The senses interact with the sense objects like the ear for hearing, the eyes for seeing, nose for smelling, tongue for tasting, and hand for touching, and all of them are thus engaged in activities outside the self. They are called the functions of the prana vayu. The apana vayu goes downwards, vyana vayu acts to shrink and expand, samana vayu adjusts equilibrium, udana vayu goes upwards, and when one is enlightened, one engages all these in searching for self-realization. Hare Krishna. Okay. Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Visthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Tinamini Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nevasesa Sunyavari Paskachari Sutarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadha Siva Sari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we are here to explain that the senses be purified by coming in touch with the mind, and the mind has to be controlled. So this is like considered like fire. When the mind is controlled and the senses go inside to the mind, then they become purified. Otherwise, when the senses are to the outside, directed to the outside world, then we are attached to all these things like hearing, touching, and seeing and smelling, and then we can become entangled in the material world. So Prabhupada gives the example of this air, like the air is carrying the soul inside the body in different levels, and someone who can breathe pranayama in the right way, they can purify the air, and then the soul becomes free. So our process is the chanting of the holy name. So by chanting the holy name, our senses become controlled, but we have to control our mind. This is the problem. When we chant Hare Krishna, we don't control our mind. This is like all these verses. It is explained there. It's like a yajna. It's like an offering. So different kinds of offering. And Krishna says, the supreme offering of all offerings is japa, chanting the holy name. So we chant the name of Krishna, but our mind is not concentrated by chanting mostly. So therefore, we don't get the result of purifying of our senses, because our senses are still in the material world, engaged. So there is one kind of, there's an electric, like a tape recorder. Before it was tape recorder with 8 tracks. Usually we have on the laptop, we have this Steinberg Cubase, they have 20 tracks. So our mind is like, on one track we chant Hare Krishna, on the other track we think about our daily activities, or on the other track we think about what to eat this morning and how to cook these things. And we use this chanting of Hare Krishna just like a catalyst, like an energy for good thinking, for good meditation on material things. So, but we have to concentrate on the holy name, and then, then the result will become that we become purified. So, in the 6th chapter, verse 20 and 23, there is the explanation of Samadhi. And the verse is like, The perfection of yoga is called Samadhi, when you are able with your senses to look inside yourself and you enjoy yourself inside yourself, and you see the super soul inside yourself, and you being completely fixed on this vision of the super soul or Krishna in your heart, then you will never fall down into the material world again. And then you consider this to be the highest goal, and nothing in the material world can drag you down again into the material realm. So this is the perfection, and this is also of Patanjali meditation. So Karuna Shakti was having got this text from my yoga, with his meditation book. So this is also, he has to edit the text, hopefully. So this meditation is it's not so easy because we get distracted. So my experience was long time ago. I was in Vrindavan. I don't know when it was. It's like maybe 25 years ago, 30 years ago. I was in Vrindavan, a little bit outside of the festival time. And then they wanted me to give the lecture on the Vyasa-sam. They have this Vyasa-sam for people who give lectures. So I was a little nervous to sit there and give some intelligent speak. So I was running in the morning, I was running around Krishna Balaram Mandir, chanting my rounds, at the same time meditating on the verses I wanted to speak of. So I was always completely into this verse, reciting on one of my tracks in my mind the verse from Bhagavad-gītā, and on the other side I was chanting Hare Krishna. So then suddenly I had some, I don't know how long it was, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, I had some realization that I couldn't control my mind. I was like in some kind of peace situation in my mind, and I was completely somewhere else. I don't know why. So I thought it's because of my concentrating on the verse at the same time chanting Hare Krishna. So my mind was like catched in this, and then I had some experience of something I never experienced before. So I thought this was my first impetus to make some research on how to do this in a better way. And later I did this interreligious dialogue on the University of Hamburg. There was some Buddhist people from Dalai Lama, and there was one guy, he was doing this metta meditation. Metta meditation means you meditate upon all living entities and you give your blessings and your mercy. You shower mercy on all the living entities so they become free from the suffering of this material world. And this is Buddhist meditation. And they make some, they have some text and bring people to this meditation mood. So I was taking part, it was like 20 years I was doing this, and every Sylvester we're doing this meditation. So I got some experience, and I also realized that these people, they could bring you very easily in some really meditational mood. And I was chanting, so I'm chanting Hare Krishna, but I never got this kind of deep meditational mood. So I was wondering how they do this, and they also do some kind of, they have some techniques. The Buddhists are profi meditation. No? The Buddha was doing this meditation, helping people to get into this meditation. So he's a pro. He's like really, it works. It's not like they're a little crazy, but it's they really know how to meditate. And then I also developed these positive pictures, to visions, but in the Krishna consciousness way, that we can meditate on, for instance, like we have the beads. We have these beads, and when we touch the beads, it's the sense of touch, and we can focus on the sense of touch. This is like the first step in japa meditation. One of the first things I do. So you chant Hare Krishna, you touch the bead, and you meditate on this feeling that you have with these beads. And then you put this vision into your heart. You visualize that these beads are like a diamond, glittering diamond, or like a lotus flower, or like the sun, the Krishna, Surya Narayan, Krishna the sun in your heart. And then you can transport this vision in your mind to your heart. There was one devotee, he was a Prabhupada disciple, he called Amadas. The story was Ama was one devotee, he never did any service, he didn't want to do any service. You ask him, can you do some washing of dishes? No, I don't want to do nothing, but he was chanting every day, the whole day, chanting Hare Krishna. He was always chanting Hare Krishna. Like, I don't know how many rounds, but he was always chanting Hare Krishna. And one story was Prabhupada came, and he went to Prabhupada and said, I am Ama. And Prabhupada said, no, you are Amadas. So this is his realization with Prabhupada. So then he went to India, and he threw away his passport, and he wanted to stay in India. And then there was some riot. Some Muslim and Hindu people was killing themselves. And he was in the middle, said, peace, peace, make peace. But they killed him also. So he was killed in this riot in India. So, but he was chanting every day Hare Krishna, and he said you should keep the beads like here. He was telling me this a long time ago, chanting like here because it's like very close to the heart. And then you realize that you can fix your mind on your heart. This is like it's like one of these visions. You can practice by chanting Hare Krishna. You try to envision these kinds of things, and then you will see that it works. It will work. And then the next thing is like you see a picture of Krishna. When I was first chanting Hare Krishna in my home, in my house, I had a little picture of Krishna at the wall, this Murli Manohar picture. And Murli Manohar is this Indian little Indian style picture. So I was sitting and looking at this picture constantly and chanting Hare Krishna. And suddenly Krishna was coming out of this picture, and there was some halo around Krishna. And I looked at the diamonds and the jewels he had on his wrist and all these things, and it became very enlivening. So the next day I wanted to do this again, but it didn't happen. It's like so Krishna was giving me some little hint, So one has to try again and again and again to get this mystical, the mystical realization of Krishna, because Krishna is he's very attractive. And sometimes he opens the curtain and you can look inside. And sometimes he closes the curtain and you struggle. And then you go on chanting, you go on serving Krishna, and then Krishna will reveal himself. But at the same time, you can also meditate. Like Prabhupada gave the example, Vaidyanatha, he was giving me the idea that Prabhupada once said in one lecture, you can meditate that Krishna is sitting in your heart, and you make a diamond throne, and you give him something to eat, and you give him new clothes, and you put the clothes on, and like this, and then you worship Krishna in your heart. Prabhupada gave this example. And then he said, this is meditation. So this could be also, in any circumstance, you can sit down wherever you are and see Krishna in your heart. Okay. How long is the whole lecture? How long you do? 1 hour?
We have time until 8 o'clock, so 1 hour, yes.
1 hour, okay. So, yeah, it's like the small children, they have this ability to visualize things because they are still not polluted. So like small children, they have sometimes they have very simple toys, or when I was young, the children had very simple toys, but they could play with these toys and imagine all kinds of things. And they played long time with some simple things. But when we become older, then we forget, when we don't have this power of vision anymore. So we should train this kind of things, and then become absorbed in things, in thoughts of Krishna. So it is said, like our senses are covered. This is the verse of the senses has to be purified. So our senses are covered, and on the material body we have spiritual senses, but the spiritual senses are covered like if you put some cloth on your tongue and then you try to taste something, it will be a little problem. It's like through the cloth some taste will come, but it's covered. So this material tongue we have is also some covering, and our taste is in this way limited or covered. So all the living entities, they have different kinds of coverings. And some animals, for instance, they have some ability which we don't have, like the eagles. They can look from very high points. They see a mouse downstairs, like 1 kilometer down on the earth. Or like the dog, they can smell. It is said a dog can smell 3 meters underneath the earth. They can smell 3 meters under a snow covering. They can smell stereo with one hole. They can smell a different smell than the other side, and they can smell the character of a person. By smelling, they can remember the character of the smell in their mind. Like we remember the face of someone, so he has a personality. They have a special smell, and he will put it into his brain and remember the smell. So he has 200 million smell cells in his brain, and 10% of his brain is just for smelling. And the human being has only 1% of his brain for smelling, and he can only 5 million smelling cells. So our smell is very limited. So, but still the dog is also limited because he has a material body. But in the spiritual world, it is said that these kind of qualifications of smelling is much more intense, and we can not even smell much more than we can do now, or even more than the dog can do, but we can smell and see with our eyes the smell, something like this. We can eat, or we can taste with our eyes. It's like said, Krishna is seeing the prasadam, and then he can taste the prasadam by seeing. Because we in the spiritual world, these limitations we have now, it's not this is not there. So therefore we can understand that how deep we are in cover of illusion. And it said Krishna, he can smell Radharani from far away. He will touch the smell of Radharani, and Radharani can also smell Krishna from far. And when she smells him, then she immediately becomes mad and wants to run to Krishna. So it's like they make, this is very intense. Radharani is very much attached to Krishna's smell. And then when she makes a garland for Krishna, and the gopis bring the garland to Krishna, then Krishna will immediately smell Radharani. There was one story when the gopis came to Krishna during the midday pastime at Radhakund, and they said, there was this one Mataji, she's called Tulasi, but she's not the same Vrinda Devi. Vrinda Devi and Tulasi are two different gopis. I don't understand why, 100%. But there is this story that Tulasi is very close to Radharani, and she came to Krishna, and then Krishna said, so where is Tulasi? There's also Radharani. So when is Radharani coming? I can smell her. And then Tulsi said, we have contact with Radharani, but Radharani has to stay at home today because she was absent-minded doing some churning of water. And Jatila was noticing, and she said, you have to stay home now. This is nonsense. You think about something else. You have to stay home now. And Krishna was like, oh, yeah, now today I cannot see Radharani. It was really a problem. What can I do? And he became very morose. And then the other gopis, they looked at Tulsi and said, you have to tell the truth. And then Tulsi said, oh, Krishna, I just make a joke. Radharani is just around the corner. She will come. Like this. So Krishna was happy. So Krishna can smell. And and when Krishna comes home after tending the cows, all the Rajavasis, they go to outside the house and want to see Krishna. And it is said all their senses become eyes. With all their 5 senses, they want to see Krishna, and they all become eyes. Sure, I don't know how they do this, but it's possible in the spiritual world. They want to see Krishna and don't want to miss any moment not seeing Krishna. Hare Krishna. Okay. Okay, so if someone has a question, I can answer this question, and then maybe it's becoming interesting. So someone has a question to these topics?
So if any one of you has a question, you can just unmute yourselves by clicking on the microphone icon in the bottom left corner of your screen, or you can also, if you're too shy to do that, type into the chat box. So you have the chance to ask questions. Toby is asking, how can one control the mind?
Yeah, this is like, it's like practice, one has to practice, and you have to have some system how to control the mind. And it's not so easy, but Krishna says, Arjuna says, how we can control the mind is like catching the wind. Arjuna has this same question. And Krishna says, the answer is my opinion. Krishna says, my opinion is, if you follow the real process, it's possible and you have to follow the real process, and then you will be successful. This is Krishna's opinion. And Srila Prabhupada and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Krishna himself gave this process in Kali Yuga, chanting Hare Krishna. But we have to every day endeavor to really want to control the mind. And then there's one thing, we cannot control the mind by ourselves. We have to, Krishna is controlling our mind. So we have to surrender to Krishna, and then Krishna will control the mind. But it's like some mystic, some kind of mystic. But it's possible. But I myself, I'm chanting now like 50 years. So I cannot control my mind. So, but it's after, there are some periods where it works. So it takes longer than you think, but it's possible. You have to be really, one has to be patient. Some other question?
Hare Krishna, I have a question and a comment. One thing I wanted to comment, because you were speaking about keeping the japa mala or the bead bag close to the heart. Mm-hmm. Actually, we were in Vrindavan and in Jaipur for pilgrimage, and there was some group of devotees, and one of my friends, he noticed that many times the acharyas, they are also, you have the murti of acharya like Rupa Goswami or some other devotee, and he's also you can see the murti is like this, having the bead bag close to the heart. And actually, so he kind of noticed it and said, like, maybe you should chant like this. Actually, I tried it, and I really felt like I have to. It gives a different connection, with the chanting, It's so, of course, also like it's sometimes said, like, if you chant, also you have to how I say in English, I forgot. You have to see how the setup should be right, sit straight and these things, and then this also makes an effect on the chanting itself.
Mm-hmm.
And the question I have is, because you were speaking about visualizing Krishna, so what is the proper way of doing that? Like, because I sometimes feel like, okay, is it now or maybe it's just my mind telling me, but is it like just do I have the right picture of Krishna in the mind practically? So what is the proper way to visualize?
Okay, it's just like every day one is in a different kind of condition of limited or not limited. It also depends on the daily how you are in a good mood or not a good mood. Sometimes you are in a good mood, sometimes you're a little less good mood. And my experience was mostly when I went to India, and like it was in Vrindavan or Mayapur, all day intense practice of chanting and all these things we do there. Then something happens. Some of these things happen, and then this morning I was reading about Krishna in the Radha Kund, and then he was splashing with the gopis. They splashed some water with the gopis, and then it said the gopis are like golden. All the gopis have some golden color. Radharani is golden, and Vishaka, he has some light, like streams of light, very light gold. And the other gopis, sometimes they have a little dark gold, like turmeric, and they have all kinds of gold. And Krishna is blue. this blue color. So then for one little second, I had this vision, like it is said, like the moon is surrounded by the blue what's called the blue rain cloud, and there's some moonlight around. So the gold and the moonlight is around the blue cloud, some kind of picture. And then I could, there for 1 minute, for 1 second, I could see this light of Krishna's blue color. Yeah, it's like sometimes I can visualize the blue color of Krishna. You see it inside. For some, if you meditate on this, and then it's you just see some little glimpse of Krishna. It is said when Krishna is standing on this Yamuna playing on his flute, and then you become captured and you never want to go away. But we always forget this special power of Krishna's beauty. And we always have to endeavor anew for this moment of realizing Krishna. I had some visions in Vrindavan when they gave me I was chanting 32 rounds for some time when I was in Vrindavan, and then I went to the Aarti ceremony and they're throwing the water, and then suddenly the water was hitting my head, and the water was not water, it was light. For some little moments, I saw that this water is some spiritual light touching myself. And these kinds of experiences. Vaidyanatha saw some on the floor of Vrindavan, he saw these jewels, that the road was covered with jewels. So this is like Krishna's gift, that you can see some special things of Krishna. But Krishna, you can never see Krishna. Even the gopis, they can never see Krishna in real. They always want to see, and it becomes so extensive, beautiful, that they think, how is Krishna so beautiful? I have never seen Krishna. I always see Krishna, but he's not so very beautiful, and I cannot imagine. And then suddenly he's gone, and then they are crying, oh, Krishna is going away, and then they cannot see Krishna again. So it's like always like this, separation and seeing Krishna. It's not so easy. One devotee was telling he heard the flute of Krishna. I don't know if it's really the flute of Krishna, but he heard for some kind this flute of Krishna, special sound. Yeah. This is a mystic, bhakti mystic. And if you have realized some of these bhakti mystics, then you know that there is some very special process of this bhakti yoga is very special. I had this experience with Prabhupada when we meet Prabhupada first, when I met Prabhupada first. After I was serving Srila Prabhupada, I was initiated, and then I saw Prabhupada after 2 years serving him without seeing him in reality. And then we went to Paris. All the devotees from Germany never saw Prabhupada. And they all came, 25 devotees went to Paris. And then Prabhupada came down the stairs from the airport. And then we had very high expectations because we heard about Prabhupada, serving Prabhupada, hearing the lectures on tapes and everything. And then Prabhupada came down the stairs, and I was saying, okay, this is Prabhupada. And Prabhupada was not so, he was small, he has a small body, he was not so big stature. But then suddenly the eyes of Prabhupada was like coming some streams, something like waves out of Prabhupada's eyes. And I don't know what it really was. It was like maybe he was crying because we were his disciples, And we became his disciples, even with him together. He was not there. He was separation with him. So he saw us for the first time, not only the German, about Belgium, France, and Europe came, all the disciples came, and he saw them for the first time. So he was always, I think he was always overwhelmed with this situation. So he was, from his eyes came some waves outside, and it hit my eyes, and then I could realize some transcendental love. There is something like transcendental love. It's not something in the material world. This love you don't experience in the material world. I could understand what this Prabhupada was thinking, that he was thinking, oh, Krishna brought me these disciples and he is working with Krishna together. The preaching is going on. Prabhupada and Krishna, they work together. Krishna is bringing the disciples, Prabhupada is helping like this. And they both work together, bring all these fallen souls back to Godhead. And this was something I never experienced anymore. This was like one moment of association with a pure devotee can change your whole life. This was this extremely intense relationship with Prabhupada, this transcendental love. And I never forget this. And this is, this is one of, I had some other things also, but this was especially with Prabhupada. So this is also experience of Krishna. This is like that Krishna has so much love for the living entities. We always talk about this love, but we don't understand what we are talking about. This is something beyond. It's mercy. And it's not only in this religion, it's in all the religions, this kind of things happening in all kinds of different religions. It's also possible. I heard some story of some Christian Mataji. She was a Christian preaching, and then she had a big car accident, and then she was at the point of dying, and then she saw Jesus Christ, and he was also this love coming from him, and he felt this extreme love from Jesus Christ. And there was one Prabhupada, one devotee, not Prabhupada disciple, he was in Nepal. And there was some lady sitting on the floor, some Buddhist lady, and she was looking very, very simple and very pure. And then he wanted to help the lady, but she touched him. And by the touch, his whole body was surcharged with a feeling of mercy. So this is also the Buddhist people, they also have this ability for mercy, intense realizations of some higher spiritual realities. So therefore, this is a very nice thing we can experience in this Krishna consciousness movement, or just following the rules of a religion, just connect yourself with the Supreme Krishna. Hare Krishna. Okay, long time. So some more questions? Haribol Kayana Giriyach. Hare Krishna.
So if no one else has a question, I have a small question. You spoke about other religions, and I wonder, is there anything we can learn from other religions? Is it that, for example, like you mentioned meditation and Buddhists and Christians, is there anything we can learn? Anything that we can, we as, let's say, Western devotees, we have like Christians around us, we have strong influence of Western culture, of Christian culture. Is there anything we can learn from that? Like any kind of aspect, meditation, or let's say prayer in Christianity, for example?
Yeah, I was doing 20 years interreligious dialogue. And we had some Buddhist and some Christian and some Jew and some Muslim. And I realized this is Rumi. Rumi, there's the picture of Rumi. He's a mystic, Muslim mystic. He gave the example of the elephant. The elephant is the truth, and the 5 religions are 5 blind people, and they try to find out the truth by touching the elephant. And everyone is telling little different story. One says the truth is like a big pillar. The other says it's like a tube, or like a tooth. So they all have different experience of the same truth, but they don't have the full realization. So the religions, they all have access to the truth, and we have our access to the truth. But maybe we have the highest knowledge of philosophy and the highest knowledge of Krishna's abodes and Krishna's energies and all these things. It's like, for me, it's like if you have mathematics, and there is in the first and second class you have simple mathematics, in the higher class you have arithmetic and logarithmus and Differentialrechnung. But those who have logarithmus and differential, they know how to do these things. For them it's easy, arithmetic. But the other way around, it's not so easy. If I see all these Differentialrechnung things and all these hieroglyphen, then I was, oh, what's going on, you know? But they think Hare Krishna or Hindu religion is something very complicated. They don't understand, and it's something weird, you know. But we have the highest level. We have the highest knowledge, but maybe we are not so realized ourselves sometimes. Some of us. We have the highest, more than other religions, but maybe people in other religions, they are more realized because they seriously follow the rules or seriously searching for God. And then they they reach a higher level of that we have. So therefore, we have to be careful not to make offense against the other religious people. And you know this Pater Pio, you know Pater Pio? He had this stigmata, he has this Franz von Assisi and Pater Pio and Teresa von Konnersreuth. They had this blood coming out from his palms of the hands, and foot and eyes even, like Jesus. And Pater Pio, he was supposed to be on different places at the same time. He was like a mystic yogi, and he was also like, yeah, he has these mystic things. Even maybe he eats meat. He was eating meat, I don't know. But these people also have very high levels of realization. And the main thing is be serious, you know. If you are a Christian and there's nothing else around, no other religions, then you can become self-realized by following religion, the Christian religion, you know. Maybe not become realized of Krishna and Radha, but you may come a high level. And some religions have some more focus on meditation, and the other religions more on mercy or different kinds of things we can learn from other religions. They also learn from us, you know. Many Christians, they start meditating now, you know. So Prabhupada was not telling you should become Hindu, you should become a Hare Krishna. And he said you become more serious in your own religion, you know. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm sorry, I was not prepared with English, but it's okay. So more question, please. Nothing?
I have a question. Sorry.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna. How can we overcome self-doubt?
Doubts?
Yeah, doubts. Self-doubt or self-doubts and feeling bad about ourselves somehow. I mean, it's not connected with what you were saying before, but yeah, in general, when the mind tends to overthink things and just not really being in a place of kind of not being happy with oneself, more or less, doubts, low self-esteem.
Yeah, we all, every one of us is starting from different points, our Krishna consciousness. You know? Some people, they are born in India and the parents are Krishna conscious, so they immediately have a different, every one of us is on a different level of Krishna consciousness from previous life. So some people they start maybe very high, already very high, so that some devotees they were born in United States, and Prabhupada came and they immediately got contact with Prabhupada, so and then they became highly advanced devotees, so because they were already on this high level. And maybe we are not so high level when we start. I sometimes I see people in the movement of Krishna consciousness, they start like a shooting star, you know, and immediately they become like fired up, doing all kinds of things. They come completely undisturbed, doing Harinam, Sankirtan, and chant Hare Krishna. And after 10 years, they suddenly will going down again. And then they have big problems and nothing works. And then they start drinking beer again and all these things, you know. So I think it's also depending on our astrological situation. So I myself, they say I was born in the moon, my moon was very dark, was very weak when I was born. So I started with a very weak moon, but maybe before me, the more I get older, the moon becomes stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger. And at the end of my life, my moon will be very strong. So this is like I was struggling in the beginning with my Krishna consciousness also, because everyone was running and running and before ahead of me, you know. I just was always behind. I could not sell so many books, and everyone was more powerful than me, I think so. So, but I stayed in this movement and kept my own speed. You have to find out your own speed of advancement. You should not think I have to be very advanced in 10 years or 5 years or 1 year. You have to find out your speed. It's like if you run on a marathon, 42 kilometers, you cannot run very fast and then after some time you don't have any more energy. You have to keep your energy safe for the 42 kilometers. So your whole life you have to keep your energy, it has to be, you have to have enough energy for the whole trip back to Godhead. And therefore you have to be honest with your own self. You should not drop Krishna consciousness, but you should do it in your own pace, in your own speed, how far I can go, but you have to become steady. Steadiness is very important. You have to become steady and you have to find out how to become steady. So there are many different aspects of how to become steady, like be steady with chanting Hare Krishna at the same time of the day, being steady what you eat, find out what is good for you, eating or not eating, when you want to eat. It's like eating is the 5 V's: when to eat, what to eat, how to eat, how much to eat, and where to eat. This is in German, it's die 5 Ws. Wo essen, wie essen, wann essen, wie viel essen, und nachher war noch ein 5. So you have this eating is a problem also. If you eat too much or too less or something, or the right thing, then sleeping, association, this is like a whole science. And then you have to watch your mind, how it works, what happens with your mind. You should not become too much identifying with your mind, and you have to tolerate things. When something bad happens to you, you have to tolerate things. Everyone has to tolerate some suffering, and after some time it will go away. So like this, it's like you have to figure out and be self-introspective. You have to fight. You have to fight. We want to go back to Godhead, therefore there are all kinds of obstacles ahead of us. You have to fight. This is it's like a big fight. You have to be very intelligent. There was one, I saw the one running, there was one Olympic run, and there was one guy, he was, I think 10,000 meters they were running, of 5,000. And one guy was always the last, running around. And he had a very funny skirt on, he looks a little strange, but he was running always the last. And in the last round, he was at the end, he was the first, So we have to, the last people will be the first. It's like in the Christian sense, the last, you think you are the last, but then you will be, at the end, you will be the first. It's like, it's also this one slogan, you have to be the killer instinct. You have to be like a killer. You want to kill someone, then you have to be really determined. But we want to don't want to kill someone, we want to kill our ego. We want to kill our Maya. So we have to really be determined. Hare Krishna. Yeah. Hare Krishna. So, 2 Minuten, ne?
Last chance for a short question, maybe. Otherwise, we will conclude this session. So there is nothing in the chat.
You have a question to this book?
Yeah. By the way, Jayagoura Prabhu, he has written a book about the meditation, which he's mentioned, and I have received it, and I have gotten the very beautiful privilege of reading some of it, or getting the entire book, and I have looked into it. Yeah, he has written a guide, let's say, for sort of meditation on the holy name and Krishna and so on. So yeah, that is something which will come out in the future, and it's very nice. So we have, you've mentioned it a bit, like the diamond throne and things like that. So yeah, all those visual meditation elements that can help us. It's actually, I believe it's good for the mind, because in the Middle Ages, the Christian monks, when they wanted to learn verses from the Bible, they were imagining a castle. They were imagining a big building, and then they were like, in their mind, they were going through the building, like into one room and then into another room, and then for each room they had there was a verse or something from the Bible. So that is how they were managing to memorize in their mind something visual in connection to the words of the Bible, by walking through through a castle in their imagination, in their mind. They were having this tour through the castle, so to say, and in that way they could memorize verses from the Bible by having a connection of one room or door or window or something, and yeah, to a verse from the Bible. So that is something which can help us. I think it's called the palace of, I think they call it Gedankenpalast in German or something like that. That's yeah, the palace of thoughts or something like that. So it's a help. It's like a meditation for our mind to connect to something which is more abstract, because visual things we can see, and we are very visual living entities. Humans are very visual. Dogs are very focused on their smell, and humans are focused on their eyes. So, and that's like a technique you will find for memorizing things. Like also those people who can memorize hundreds and hundreds of numbers, like you will show them something and then they will look at the number, like a whole long line of numbers, and then they will recite all those numbers by memorizing that in a visual way. So each number has, like, I read a book about it, each number has like a visual representation, and then you will come up with a story in your mind when you have these numbers. Like, yeah, one animal and another animal is for another number, and then another object is for this and that number, and then you will see all those animals and objects and whatever in your mind, and that will help you memorize. So that is this visual meditation, which Jayagoura Prabhu has kind of not with numbers, but in relation to Krishna consciousness, some guided meditation, some also visual elements that are in there. So that will be something we can be looking forward to. And at this end of the lecture, we would like to thank Jayagoura Prabhu for being with us. He has spoken to us from the Bhagavad-gītā from his bike repair shop. And we also thank all those of you who have joined us tonight, and hope to see you again very soon. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Hare Bol. Hare Krishna.